Hi everyone, and welcome to this webinar of the React Nanodegree to the City. We are at webinar number 11, but the most important thing is that we are at the first webinar about React Native. Okay, so for those of you who are on live, just say hello on the chat so I can see you. We will have a total of four webinars in React Native. This will be, as the title says, you don't see them because my head is inside. Above, React Native Development Environment Setup. That would be the title of this webinar. After this one, we will see styling React Native. We will see after that in the third webinar the navigation. We will see the router, how to navigate between pages, and in the last one we will see things about notifications. As always, you can talk me in the private channel or in a private chat about things you want to talk in our lessons, okay, on these webinars. So let's dive in. We will see first. I will, because you know I leave you the presentations to be downloaded, so a little guide about how to install things, the things needed to play around. I'm using Ubuntu 19.04, so I leave you a link for Windows and for Mac at the end of the presentation. I had a problem with my computer and my charger didn't work, so I almost had to do this over Windows, so that's why I have the Windows here link in the presentation. But I managed to buy a new charger, and my computer and my laptop got safe. So first of all, I want to make an introduction about Expo, because we are going to do things with Expo most of the time. So, but that's what we are going to use. An IDE, in my case Visual Studio Code, the same editor as we use always, Node, in my case Node version 10, and the Expo client. And we will see an example of the end with React Native clients. I think it's important to see both. We need the Java Developer Kit and the Android Studio for launching our apps in the emulator. If you are using iPhone, you will be needing the Xcode. I am using Linux, so for showing you an emulator, I would have to be using a virtual machine. So until I don't get a Mac, I can show you the both. But I can run my applications in an iPhone I have here, so I can develop for both of them. So one thing about Expo, because in the lessons they use create React Native tool, that's obsolete. Okay, so it's not used now. It's inside Expo. So Expo is just an environment, a very nice environment that lets you develop React Native applications much easier than if you were building them without it, because you can just use JavaScript. You just use your IDE. You don't need to have installed Android Studio or Xcode if you are developing for Apple, for iOS. And so you will see that it's very nice, and that's why Create React Native client is now inside Expo. So now what we use is Expo init. In the classroom examples, I see that they use Create React Native. So it's correct because it's the tool that it's inside Expo. But now you would be using Expo init, okay? And that will launch an Expo application that will run on your phone with the Expo application, or on the emulator. Sometimes I say simulator, sorry. That's the important thing about Expo, okay? So Just I wanted to have this clear. So, first tool, I just leave you a link to download Visual Studio Code. If some of you are interested on plugins, configuration, and things, I will have in my channel other videos about how to install the Visual Studio Code and how to have the best plugins for developing React and React Native. But it's above these lessons, so just you have a link to download it. Next, this is just the way you should install a node over Ubuntu. So once you have it, you just go to your terminal and run this node or on this, and you will see that I just installed it. So I have I have 11. I just updated. Sorry, I had the 10, but this is from yeah. I have the 11 one. I just don't go with LTS. I just use developer mode. So I have advanced. Sorry, I should be having the 10.15, but I have another advanced one. But you know, every node that is 8 or above, it's enough. I'm going through this quickly because I think it's not necessary to explain all the steps. Remember that we use yarn. If you install Node, you only have npm just for installing yarn. I didn't add the instructions to install it because you can use npm install -g instead of yarn global add expo. Clear? With that, you just install the Expo client in your computer, and you will be needing for the next part, for the Android Developer Studio experience, you will need the Java development kits, and for a lot of things in Ubuntu, you will be needing them. So you have a link to the page on Oracle where you can download the version of the JDK you need. If you want to know if your architecture is 84, 64, 32, 86, and so, you just use the hostname ctl command, and you will see that. So it will be easier for you to develop it, and you just extract the JDK and go to the next step. That is installing Android Developer Studio. Okay, for Android Developer Studio, in this case, you know, if you were in iOS, you would be installing Xcode. I just don't go much further with the instructions because this is not about installing things. It's just a little introduction of 10 minutes for you to have like things to, you know, at the minute, you know, for 7th of June of 2019, some installation guides of how to build, you know, quick Android Developer Studio. So you might need to install these libs if you are running Ubuntu 64-bit version. You just go to the page and download the program. You extract it. You go inside it and you go to the Android-Studio being, and you run the sh file. Afterwards, I just will leave you all the steps. You know, the installation guide is Android Developer Studio installation, where you just go. We install it standard. You just go with it. You can use the theme, a dark, cool, or light. Of course, I don't like people who use white. So black is our go. Next, in the same, you know, in the resume of installation. Usually, if they detect that you can use, say, in Linux the accelerated performance mode, they give you a link to how to make a configuration for the kernel of Linux to run with this kind of accelerated performance mode. So just you just click finish. If you and it will download things. And this is what you will get when you go into the first time you have the Android Studio program installed. So for getting into the part, we need Android Studio installed or Xcode installed for two things. For developing with an emulator, that it's the best way for developing. Developing over the phone, it will be very, very useful, but quicker and easier, and like more in the screen. The emulator gives you a lot of hints, and in the phone you will be using it also. But and also the second way for having your program for Android or iOS is that you can run and see some code there and debug things when you get you work as a pro. So you can imagine that if you have an application, you just hit the build for React Native, and you have a native code to see in Android Studio, and or Xcode, and use the debuggers for programs built. You don't see the source code, but you can't edit the source code because you are in a bundle, you are in a build, but you can see all the debugging and stuff that we are not going to see in this lesson, but because it's advanced debugging, and it's for debugging Android application or debugging iOS applications over the native codes. But that's like the latest frontier when you need, when you when you are developing best applications, you just go to I always recommend to see a little lesson about Kotlin or Java, Android development or Xcode, just to to see some, to learn some code about native applications, so you will be more prepared for the future. So once you get here, you just start a new Android Studio project. Just hit wherever you prefer. I just hit add no activity because I just want to see the presentation. I just leave it as the configuration of the project as it is, my application. And now the important thing, usually first time you want to get to this menu where you get into tools, AVD manager. You will need leave the status bar that it's below the window to download all the packages and the configuration, so maybe you have to wait until it appears. But that's the important thing. We just want to build an Android emulator, and sorry for not having the Xcode part. I just wanted to leave some suspensions here. For those who use Mac, you just install both Android and Xcode. So we hit that option, and we have this menu, this window. We click the button with the plus, create virtual device. I just chose a phone. You see that now you can select a TV, a wearable, a table, or a phone. I just use one of the latest Nexuses. I like because my phone, it's a Poco phone and it's 6 inches. I like to have more or less the size that will be in my phone when I test. But and after this, the most important thing, you get into a place where you have to download the operative system you want to have there. I usually use the latest one. I would have been downloading Q, because I even can use it if my development system in my phone can't use it. But for these lessons, I just downloaded the Pi. So APA level 28, you click download, you wait. Installation of these programs takes a lot, so you can take a coffee, go for a walk. You download them. This is the installation. Once it's downloaded, you can click next. They let you put up a name for the virtual machine, for the emulator. I just leave the default name because I think it's nice. It tells you the model of the phone and the API level, so it's nice. And once you have it there, that is what you will see when you click the first tool, AVD Manager window. You will appear to this window in the left, and whenever you want to create a new device, you just open that. So now, once you click this start button, you will need will have this emulator. I don't remember if I have it installed in my presentation, but you will see that we need to do something with the emulator. But so we're going to go for an example, a real example. So now I'm moving to my terminal, so you see things working. So I'm here because I have the emulator. I just want to do Expo init React native. Let me. I think I can come here. Native. Sorry. Expo hello world. Expo hello. Well, hello world. This is the command that will create our Expo hello world application. I haven't updated my Expo client for a while, and it lets us how to build an application. I always go with a blank application, and it tells us, of course, the name. I always the same as the Slack. Of course, maybe we can do it without these dashes. Yeah, just run npm yarn install. It's nice they ask you, because if you are using yarn workspaces or something like that, maybe you don't want to run them right now. You need to do some installations before. You will see that we have lots of everything I'm doing here is preparing the presentation, so you will download them. It's later. So now we have the hello world. Now we will see the Expo hello world directory there created. I don't know if I can't. I don't know if it's big enough for you. I don't remember here if I can close profiles, edit profile. Let me check if I can. Default appearance, window normal, SK global. I don't see how. Okay. Now we have bigger, just okay, bigger letter. So we have the CD Expo Hello World app. Now we have this this application. This is how it's built now. This is something that is for Expo. This kind of okay. So maybe if we open it in our editor, we will see it better, with a better way of. You see, now we have our AppDS, where we have this. This is the view with our text and the configuration file for our Expo application, and with things about iOS and for this plus icon, the platforms we want to get to, our Babel configuration, our node modules, and the assets, and we can just begin to build things here. So for running our code, we just go inside and we click yarn start. Once we go to yarn start, it will open for us a a window here. It was opened in my browser. You can click it that it's not launched, and never always that you run your program in the web. So because you have it here and here, so it's more or less the same. I just usually do this. This is the QR code. You can use it only in your Android application. If you have Expo installed in your mobile phone, you just go here. You just take a photo with the app, and your program will be launched into the phone. So that's amazing when the first time you see our application running in the phone. But usually what you will need to do is to send your link to your phone with an email, because iPhone the new rules, they said that this was unsafe, this QR code. So you would need the email. You run the interrogation, you will see lots of options where you can rebuild, you can toggle to production mode and sign out, because I am signing with Expo. So, everything. I can even upload things to the Expo web and share my application Expo link for someone to just go to Expo and download the program, compiled in their phone. So it's very, very nice to share code and applications and get feedback. So what we are going to do is just to, I'm going to take it down here, and we're going to run in Emulator. Just press A, and we will see that we will be running our emulator. One thing that's it's not here, because I forgot to remove that permission from my phone, is the first time you try to open this, it will ask you for let me give you the please enable permit drawing over other apps. Okay, so you will be needing okay, we'll open the menu of giving the options. So okay, so the first time the build is quite big. Now if I just run the mail to my phone, I will be having the same you see in this view in my phone, but for so, well, of course, when it's charging, if you have any question, just ask me. So it's just installing things. Okay, now we have things. Just let me move this to okay. So what we have here is our application. So if we change the code, you have the live load. This is my first React native app. So yeah, we click save, and it will be reloading, and we will see the next okay, so that's working awesome. So let's see the next steps of this presentation. Okay, now for opening the applications, we just hit commands M over the emulator if we are in Android, or command D if we are in iOS. Now we have lots of options here. We will be seeing this and this. You have a link at the end of the presentation where they explain nicer how to go with them, but for you to learn, the reload is just when sometimes the code doesn't reload properly, or it gets frozen, or you just want to see how it reloads, you just you have that option. If you are in the phone, here you just have to shake it. Of course, you can click on options of the emulator and click the event, or that makes that like if you were doing those things. But that's just the reload. Okay. So we have a very nice thing that is, okay, I want to debug remotely JavaScript. We click it here, and we will see that we get this window opened like this. Okay, we see this open here. That it's amazing, and we just inspect, or as they say, Control Shift I, and we'll be having the inspector. But so, for example, we come to our sources, we click pause on exceptions, and this will be okay. Let me reload it. Well, we have here our first exception, that because they say, let me check, because this is very warning, async storage has been extracted from React Native Core and will be removed in a future release. It cannot be installed and imported from React Native, blah, blah. This is an error that it's inside React Native open, so it will be an error that appears always. But if we resume or jump, we go there. So if we want to throw an exception, we will be able to debug things here. So it's nice. Of course, we can always do our dark thing, but this is what we need. We need this information here. It's not important right now. I wanted just to know, for you to know, that we have that that option, and they tell us, sorry, about you may also install the standalone version of React Developer Tools to inspect the React component hierarchy, their props, and state. We are going to see that later. Okay, so that's the amazing thing of the lessons. So now, what's disable live reloads? You see here they have live reload, enable hot reloading. For the starters, our application is always in live reload mode enabled and hot reloading disabled. If we go to the documentation, they tell us first what's live reloading. First, when you have live reload enabled, as we have it now, this will reload and refresh our entire applications when a file changes. When I just wrote the new text, our application was reloaded. So if we were in an app where we have routes and we have the router, and we just go to, we are in a view that we went after logging in, appeared into a screen, we have 3 tabs, and we clicked the 3rd tab about my account, for example, profile, changing the photograph. If I am there and I have live reload enabled, the app will be relaunching and taking me to the home page, so it won't be leaving me into the route I was. It will be reload to the previous route. Okay, so that's for one. So it's useful and nice because it reloads things, but it doesn't get your state. Okay, but what happens with hot reloading? It just when you click enable hot reloading, I never had, I think, live reload, enable hot reloading together activated, because I understand that they are like not compatible. But you can try to see what happens. I won't do it because we are in live and I can break the direct. Let me check the chats. Okay. What's hot? When you have hot reloading activated, it only refreshes the files that were changed. Okay, not all the application, only the files you changed, so it doesn't lose your state of the application. If we're in the previous example, you would be reloaded into the same view of the third tab of a logged user. So, okay, where you are setting your profile account and these kind of things. And so it depends if you are, debugging and you are developing an advanced application. When you go into, okay, yeah, I'm just not designing the app, or not designing, implementing the design. Sorry, you can have the code as it is now, the settings. You just click in app, you import homepage. You see how it's loading. You now put here, okay, an import profile. You are importing the different tile, and you just edit them. But once you are editing and using the application, I want to have it logged in, you should change into enable hot reloading, because it would be crazy. Of course, you can disable both options and just reload the application with the reload button. That it's easier sometimes. Okay, remember, ask any question whenever you're prepared. And here we have the toggle inspector. I don't know why it's not there. Toggle inspector. Oh, I think it's. Let me check if it's not. Stop remote debugging. I don't know why it's not toggling things now. Okay. So that's the inspector, and we have this inspect. If we click here, we can see what it has. Now I clicked into a let me check if it appears down. Okay, it's now I just I am in the view. You can see Expo root component, app view, context consumer, IRCT view. And now we have that we are in the line 6 of our app.ts file, and we are seeing this. And the styles we have here: flex 1, background color, FFF, align item center, justify content center, are these styles. So it's nice for you to see, some quick inspection. We are going to see how this improves later. So, but for you it's nice to see. We have things about our performance, how this view will re-render at 92 milliseconds. We can have some information about the network. We have to leave it here, and we will be seeing the different queries that are launched into the application. Usually, I think this makes things easier to have the touchables there. You see, there are okay, when we click touchables, we are inspecting. It says, okay, we are doing. I forgot to add to these lessons the logs. You have some options. I think it's in the documents, in the resources, that you where to install some packages for seeing the logs in the terminal. You see, when I click the touchables, it makes some requests to the server to symbolic gates and to the logs. So, and touchables is, if we had some touchables here, it will be letting us to inspect them. So that's the inspector. And we could be leaving the show performance monitor. We have other information, about the FPS for this user interface, the how many FPS has been dropped by now, and these kind of things. It's, as I told you, you have more information about this kind of information later. And if we click start stop sampling profiler, it breaks because it's breaking my Android version, my React Native version. In the presentation you have the link where you can see how to improve it, how to install other packages to go to the profiler. But you know, we have 1 hour for this webinar, so we can't go so deep. Okay, so well, what we have to do to create to debug things really better, because I think for now, for these options, it's nice to know the difference between these two options. Sorry, between these two options. These two are okay. I can monitor things, but it's not too great. The toggle inspector is okay, but remember we had the React development tools in React Web, and you know how we could see any component, the state of the component, the React states, and these kind of amazing things, and all the components that are built without us knowing it. So what we can do is we can create, whoa, yeah, we have, you know, like errors everywhere once you begin to develop. We ask, for example, we should be running run global add React, let me check the name, ReactDevTools, yeah, DevTools. I have installed it already, so this wouldn't be working. So once you hit enter, it will be installed, and once you install it, you just run, and you will see that we get this window. It's opened in my other window, so we have this window open, waiting for React to connect. So it says this app will automatically connect in a few seconds. So what happens sometimes that it has the problem that it doesn't connect because we have the debug.js remotely disabled. So if we click it here, it restarts in debugging mode, and it doesn't work. Why it doesn't work? Because I have this window opened here with the pause on exceptions, so I need to don't pause in exceptions. Even I can close this console or even the window. It wouldn't be necessary to open the window. See that now it's over there. Now just disabling the pause on exceptions. We just can see this. Let me let you. Oh, let me zoom in. Control Shift. Okay, that's, I think it's nicer. So, okay, so now we have these amazing React development tools, and we can see what we want to see. We have the profiler that we didn't see also in the React Web part because we didn't have time. And I told you if you wanted to see it, I could make an extra video. So we would be using profiler here to profile our application better than with the options over here. And now we have all this hierarchy, app container, view, context consumer, RCT view, context consumer, Expo, root component, root error boundary, app root tag, view, consumer, all these things. And we went into the text, attachable text, and we get to this RTC text where it has accessible is true, allow for the scanning is true, and the children, remember us where we were having the paragraphs and the divs in React Web, that the children was the content of that thing. So that's the props. If we come here, we see that it's the states, and we can see all the states. So I don't go in advance here because we have all the things we had for React Web. Remember, you have in one of our first videos of React Web, webinar 2, I think, or first, the first one. So you can see here all this magical stuff. So I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to remove the stop remote GS debugging. We get back to our application, and let me go here. As you see, you have everything here for your, for you to, all the things you need to do. Okay, so another tip. Oh, sorry, this view should have been with some more design. We've seen that we can use React DevTools with React Native, and now things get more useful. And most of you that have gone with React Native until now say, "Wow, I would have liked to know this before because I think it's easier to debug things." But what happens when you add Redux to your React Native application? And depending on the project, it's pretty useful that you're going to need it. So we will be using the remote dev server. Remember in the lesson webinar of React development tools that we had this option to debug remote applications from the server in our code. So we can use this tool for debugging Redux. So we just add the remote Redux DevTools packages and the remote dev server package, and they tell us how to add it to our create store configuration. So as a third parameter, we use the debug wrapper, and when we pass the apply malware decompose, we do this debug wrapper that is composed with if we are in the dev mode. So that's how you install it, and later once it's installed, we just add into our scripts of the package JSON the Redux dash DevTool. Once we run it, we go to Chrome, we right click in the options of Redux development tools, and we just open remote DevTools, and we will be seeing how to debug all the Redux over there. I didn't add Redux to this because as we've been for 40 minutes talking about Android development setup, and we don't have time for everything, but you have if you do this, you will see that how it's run and opened if you add Redux to your application. Okay, so another thing I want to show you is this is a project for I'm going to move out. I want to let me check here. We are going to go out of the packager, and this was an Expo application, an Expo init information. And it's nice that once you begin to build Expo applications, you know about React Native applications without the Expo client over there, just using the emulator, just having React Native codes without all the Expo packets inside of it, and things like eject. So, for example, if we want to use React Native, of course, yarn global add React Native would be the how you would install React Native CLI. And if you have this, now we can create, for example, if we look at this, if we try to name it as this way, it's not a valid name for a project. Please use a valid identifier name, alphanumeric. So we have to do it like camel case. So, well, it's not camel case because it's not capitalized, the first one, but once we do this, we are creating an application with React Native. Now, for this kind of applications, we need the emulator. I just wrote in the presentation lots of errors you will be finding once you try to run your application, because things don't happen at the same time. So, for example, if we want to run in our way, we just would be doing native run, and we say run Android. If you wanted to run it in your EOS emulator, EOS. Of course, this is like when you are working with an Android application or an iOS application. You can use your mobile phone, but you need to have the cable, connect your phone, have the ADB tunnel prepare, hit the, allow debugging, remote debugging, and all these kind of configurations to debugging configurations for it to work. So it's not like Expo where you just were like moving around the house and using it without running it over there. So it's all when we had in my company, when we were using we had an application for hotel management and localization, locating workers over the building. I went to test in our office the applications. We were just building the apps, because we couldn't be moving without having the application by the cable. So we had to build and set all the phones with like real users, and when we had a problem, an error, we had to begin the test, and was like, oh fuck, because sorry for that, maybe 5 people of the team, we were testing and wasting 4 or 5 days of. We were building on over Ionic at that time. We weren't using React Native. It was very it was very new, and we had ongoing startup, so we wouldn't make the change at that moment. And now with Expo, it would be like, okay, we can run it on our application, we can reload things, hit things, and just be over the office without having to build, having to put the cable. So I think Expo, it's all the frameworks that come for mobile development would be nice. So if we hit this, I'm going to show you how we go to OK. For example, the first time I wanted to run it, it said to me SDK location not found. Define location with Android SDK root environment variable, or by setting the directory in the project's local properties. And they say me, okay, go to Android local properties. I just said, okay, I just put it as a global environment variable. And in Linux, for making it forever, you just put it in the profile file, and you just, because we installed Android Studio. Android Studio is always installed, installs the SDK in an Android folder in the home folder. So once we have this, we try to run it, and it will say like no ADB not found in my case, because I from all my reboots of the computer, I didn't need the ADB, because I just usually use React Native applications, and or if I eject them, I just pass the built Android by Drive or anything, so I don't need the cable. And so we need to install ADB, and this next errors is we ran it and I had could not connect to development server. This must be errors for Ubuntu. In your environment you will be seeing things, and I have a link to the issue in GitHub about React Native, where they send me to a link that tells us how to increase the amount of IONITify watchers, and this is the the copy paste you should throw into your terminal, and we will be having things working. So let me check out run Android. Oh, sorry, I'm not in my React Native world. So yeah, so React Native run Android. So let's see if nothing it's crazy, and if things. So while this is loads, I'm going to move it there. I'm going to open a new window, and I want you to see both sidebars where we have, oh, it failed. Oh, it's not, look at this, it's not, it doesn't detect the configuration of the previous file. So let me just copy paste this for okay, it doesn't let me. Okay, so just I just put it manually here. So export Android is the key root. Well, I don't know, I think it's because this terminal doesn't use bash, and that's why it doesn't work. So we are finishing. We have this hello app, and we will see how it's run and compare both options. So let me check. Yeah, we are in 50 minutes. Remember, questions, anything you need, interrupt me. Okay, so executing. I think we can load it right now. Open folder. Maybe too soon. Well, as you see now, these are the same, more or less the same projects, but now this is from Expo. This is React Native Hello World, and let me check to you. So as you see now, this has more things on it. Has the tests, the Android configuration with the Gradle, with all the things that would be for Android, all the things for iOS, our app.js that is here, that has more or less not the same code, because here now has instructions, platform select. It's more or less the same, so we can just create this kind of thing. So see that the project changes quite a lot. So I would recommend you to play around and try to make both applications work. Make a simple example with React Native in it, with Expo in it. For Expo it's very quick, because you even don't need to have so look at that. It was breaking. We need to run the other line of code. It's also happening. the, I think that's the thing we had. So let me check it here. So okay, so that's, see, it's trying to loading. We try to show it, but we will go to the that's not working. It's nice for there. Install debugging. It broke. Let me check it here. It worked for me pretty well. I will, but so for example, I want to show you one last thing about this. Let me check if I can do. Well, this is what you should see. And for late thing, I wanted to show you what is eject, because once you go to an example of if you go to React Native, you see, oh, I don't want to do things without eject. You will see a lot of packages that use React Native link, or something like that was named, and those packages requires you to eject your application. Eject means ejecting to Expo Kit. Expo Kitting is Objective-C and Java library that allow us to use the Expo platform and Expo project as part of a larger standard native project. This means that it converts our Expo project into a normal Xcode, Android Studio, or React Native init. So if we remember that if we, look, it's working. Nice. See, it's working. So now we have our codes, and we have like well, hi. We could be like editing here, and we have to we double run R, and we have it reloaded. We can't just press the menu button, but this is, so now see, we have here our Expo code application. And let me run into sorry, this was here. Let me run for so this, well, this is the one. So if we go to the packages, we have the scripts eject, Expo eject. So we can use the yarn run eject. It will ask us for, let me put this bigger. Warning, yeah, it's dirty, my kids. Would like, yeah, React Native, would like a regular native project, or expecting I create or log in without an Expo account to use React Native and Expo SDK. I just click React Native, the default, app one code, and now what we are going to see is that our project, this is changing. Look at that, it's just creating the iOS, Android, and all the code, and is getting almost the same as in the other example. Now we have ejected and things have broken. The only thing that it hasn't created is a test, because we didn't have testing in our previous app, but now we have the same app, Android, and this kind of thing. So now we have this eject. So hope you enjoyed this webinar. I don't know if you have more questions. In the meanwhile, I want to remind you, next webinar, styling. We will see like Flexbox. We will dive into Flexbox. Then the next one, navigation, and the next one, notification. I've been working in a little project to build for seeing how to style with Flexbox. I will leave you 2 links for learning Flexbox with, the best tools I've seen ever. Both of them are free. One of them, if you want to go to the CSS grid for the webs, you would be like going for a paid course of almost $200. So, but for Flexbox for React Native, complete free tutorials. I haven't checked if Udacity has an advanced course about Flexbox. So we will be doing also a practical example over the next webinar. We will be building a YouTube clone homepage, just to see how to start things, and maybe depending on the length of that lesson, we will be using the YouTube clone to add navigations to the application, and also maybe some notifications to that application. So as always, thank you for being here. Thank you for your efforts, and let me check the chat, for your efforts. Congratulations for those of you who have finished your presentations and your projects. As always, you have here your installation guide on Windows, installation guide on Linux, installation guide on Mac, more about React Native debugging React Native like a god, and Expo versus React Native. So for those of you who have come here, and for those of